Welcome, wrestling fans. You got Bill Schuyler here at One Wrestling WWE NXT review. Shout out as always to the boss, Bill Apter. Follow him at Apter1Wrestling on Twitter, and you can catch him on YouTube at the Apter Chat. Shouts out as always to Big Ray, Big Ray Show, Andre_Corbin. Both of them my Can-Am Wrestling brothers. And to the newest member of the One Wrestling family coming out this week. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. His Raw review. That's right, my partner from One Wrestling Goes Old School and the Prince of the Podcast, Billy Ray Hustle, does One Wrestling's Raw review each and every Monday night. And you can also follow the PW Podcast on iTunes and Podbean. Now we're going to jump into this. This is March 11th, 2015, NXT. We're going to give you the full recap, the review, and a little bit of news. Let's jump right into this. This week's show opens up with the bada bing, bada boom, the baddest guys in the room. I'm talking Enzo and Big Cass versus the Lucha Dragons. Great promo work as always by Enzo and Cass, the realest G's, and you can't teach that. Enzo and Kalisto started things off, and there was no doubt that the Dragons were the better in-ring technicians. Frequent tags in and out, numerous high spots. Near falls abound. These guys cut the ring in half, keeping Enzo far away from Cass, and they just picked Enzo apart piece by piece. Regardless, the fans remained solidly behind Enzo and Cass, cheering them on throughout the match. At one point, Enzo was tossed to the outside of the ring. Big Cass went over to help him out, and just as he was getting him up in the ring, both Dragons did a toupee suicida, you know that, a double suicide dive over the ropes. Both Dragons taking out the nearly 7-foot-tall Cass on the steel rampway. Eventually, as things got back into motion, Cass tagged in only to receive the same treatment and beatdown and technical execution that Enzo went through for the entire night. Enzo did get tagged back in and struck both Dragons with a springboard out of nowhere for the 1, 2, and 3. That's right, this match just ended like that. I unfortunately feel that as much as I like Cass and Enzo, I think that they were undeservedly the winners in a match here where the Dragons had this from the bell. But, as I've been talking and saying, these guys are being groomed to be one of the biggest, newest, entertaining tag teams to come up through NXT. And I only expect more of the same of this as they continue to improve in the ring, which they are. And their stick work goes beyond doubt. They're two of the best guys working the stick and promos in NXT at this time. Now, we then had a vignette on Alex Riley's career. That's right, A-Ry, if you recall, has slowly been bringing himself back towards entering the ring, and the altercation he had with Kevin Owens last week has only solidified that possibility. That was then followed up by another vignette on Kevin Owens, and then we get the chance for a little Divas action. But, I don't, even though they seem to have started calling them Divas down here in NXT, I consider this a women's division, so there's no need for, give the Divas a chance down here, because the women down here in NXT get chances each and every week, and not 2-minute, 3-minute matches over a 3-hour show. That's right, it's a 1-hour show, and you get treated to at least 1, if not 2 ladies matches each and every week here in NXT. And we had the returning Alexa Bliss going up against Carmella. And this match here was, although not one of the greatest matches of all time, it was a barn burner from beginning to end. Carmella versus Alexa Bliss. We had pretty much a great technical match, which was surprising, and I put this all in Alexa Bliss's hands. We had some great chain wrestling, tremendous moves by both women, with Bliss coming out on top every single time. Carmella almost stole the match twice with a roll up on the ropes, but unable to steal the match that way. Alexa Bliss hit her finisher off the top rope. That's right, the Sparkle Splash. And our winner, Alexa Bliss, expect to see her making her move towards Sasha Banks and the NXT Women's Championship belt. We then had an interview with see here, we had we have an interview here at this point with a jacked up, pumped up Alex Riley. A-Ry was just completely and utterly enraged and ready to go, and that followed up with the grudge match from last week that was called out by Riley due to CJ Parker running his mouth. That's right, Captain Planet himself, CJ Parker versus Alex Riley. A-Ry made quick work of our resident jobber, CJ Parker. Fast, brutal, and hard-hitting. A-Ry hit the 1-2-3, lickety-split, nothing, no mess, no fuss, and CJ was just done and out. At that point, out walks the NXT champion, Kevin Owens, on the ramp, addressing A-Ry, telling him that basically that he was going to take care of him and eliminate him from the wrestling scene, and after that, he would destroy the rise of Finn Balor. We then had our main event match of the evening. This is one that's been brewing for quite a while. One of these participants is a guy that I did not like for quite a long time, but he's been growing on me as his skills continue to improve each and every week. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Prince of Pretty, one Tyler Breeze, going up against the Japanese sensation Hideo Itami, undefeated. The man that knocked Tyler Breeze out of contention for the number one contender spot. Itami opened up with a flurry of kick attempts, strikes, but Breeze has apparently been doing his homework, and he avoided all of Hideo's strong style. The offense was literally useless against Tyler. Hideo, ever the ring general, did change his tactics, and he struck Breeze with a vicious clothesline, followed by a tornado DDT from the top rope to the outside of the ring. But to his credit, Breeze fought back with a killer leg drop, followed by a near pinfall. Breeze hit back with a jawbreaker, and Itami leveled Breeze with not one but two lariats, following it up with a big strike here. But Breeze immediately struck back, and one supermodel kick for a near fall, but Hideo Itami got out of that at the very last second. Breeze attempted to put Itami into the figure four via the ring post, but it was countered as Breeze's head was driven headfirst into that ring post. Hideo struck back with a series of suplexes, drop kicks, and a driving knee strike that did not hit its mark, but nothing seemed to land right and put Breeze down for that 3 count. Oh, but Prince Pretty himself, he pulled out the beauty shot and garnered a clean pinfall victory over Hideo Itami. This was a huge win for Tyler Breeze, putting him back in the title picture contention and ending Hideo Itami's undefeated streak. My question being, is this a glimpse into the Japanese curse that seems that every modern day superstar of Japanese descent has fallen victim to in the WWE for over a decade? I'm hoping this is not the case with a talent the likes of Kenta, who is one of the biggest Japanese stars throughout the entire world, not just in Japan, worldwide. I'm hoping that this is just something they're using to build up Breeze, but they're not going to leave Hideo in the dust. Next week's show is going to be a first. It's going to be NXT's show from the road, Columbus, Ohio to be exact, and it's going to be curious to see how the fans react on the road, not the homebound talents here in Orlando that have been with NXT since the beginning. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they do on the road. Now, a little news upcoming, as we had been back and forth with this news regarding Samoa Joe Sanoa. He had signed with Ring of Honor, not with NXT, but apparently the Ring of Honor contract was only for 4 shows, and he has been back in contact with the WWE, and the word on the street is Samoa Joe has indeed signed a contract with the WWE. He will be making some appearances in NXT, but it appears that he is not destined to be in NXT for an exorbitant amount of time. They're looking to take him to the main roster as quick as possible, and this can only be good news for pure wrestling fans, as you just got to look at the potential of matches that we have here. Samoa Joe back feuding with the likes of Daniel Bryan, going up against Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins, you name it. Anybody on that roster would be phenomenal for Samoa Joe to be in a match with. I would love to see Joe going up head-to-head, non-stop, full-blown action against the WWE champion himself, Brock Lesnar. Similar as it may have been to years ago with that feud that he had with Kurt Angle, that being Samoa Joe, and Brock's feud with Angle as well. They gelled well, all 4 men at different times. All 3 men at different times, and I think this would only be huge money in every single match that Joe's involved with, and it's going to help to elevate the WWE Raw and SmackDown and continue to remold and recreate the WWE into that product of the future, and to get away from the dribs and drabs that it's been for the past 5 to 10 years. Again, so that is the biggest news I have, except for this one. Apparently, the WWE has sent out some paperwork, if you will, via email to various customers of the network, inquiring of them which independent promotions they like the most, which independent superstars they find to be the most entertaining and most talented on those rosters on the indie circuit. This is something that I always had said, even though I've been a fan of NXT, that I felt would eventually occur when the WWE would decide to put an end to what is basically the last territory left in the business that grew out of the ashes of the Monday Night Wars, and that is the indie scene. Ring of Honor, Evolve, Dragon Gate USA, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Pro Wrestling Syndicate, you name the promotion out there, they're scouting for the best talent and I can literally see the WWE either buying out the biggest and best of, say, a team, especially a Ring of Honor, which is the biggest, take all their talent, leaving them with next to nothing, and then scooping them up for pennies from Sinclair, who really don't seem to have much of a deep-hearted respect or love for Ring of Honor. And there would be the end of ROH, and that would be a definite detriment to the wrestling business in the year 2015 through the next 5 years. Word being also that a certain tag team from Delaware, that's right, them boys, the Briscoes, very well possibly may be in contract negotiations and may even have signed contracts as we speak to be heading down to Orlando to NXT. How will the Briscoes fit in with the WWE NXT product? I am not sure. These guys are not your regular wrestlers. These guys are rough. They're crude. They are not PG in the slightest. But beginning to see a difference in the WWE product, let alone NXT. And I think we're going to go back, leaving that PG rating and heading back up towards that adult content, which is where the money is going to be right now, especially with the brand of wrestlers that they are growing and forming in NXT, which is the future of the company. And the WWE, especially as Vince McMahon is beginning to slowly work his way out of the everyday workings of the business. His regime of his inner circle has been departing, and Triple H's and Stephanie's are filling in the gaps. And one last thing, not to go into the situation with Bill DeMott down in the Full Sail training division for NXT, other than to say that he has resigned, and replacing him as the new head trainer would be one Jason Albert, a.k.a. Tensai, a.k.a. Giant Bernard, a.k.a. Prince Albert, A-Train, you name it. Matt Bloom, one of the greatest big men in the history of the business, one of the greatest gaijins that was in the Japanese New Japan promotions, a early precursor to the Bullet Club before they actually became the Bullet Club. I see Matt Bloom being the type of guy with the connections with New Japan Pro Wrestling and a lot of other independent wrestlers who would definitely be willing to come to NXT and at least interview and sit down and have the opportunity to mull over and look at a contract and possibly join NXT, which is very much well become its own separate entity from the WWE. It's very much a brand extension. They don't mention each other. They really don't wrestle on each other's shows. Once one leaves NXT, they go up to that main roster, and NXT is barely mentioned again. Guys that come in from the WWE and go back down to NXT, that's mentioned, but it's sort of a detriment to them that they had to go down to NXT. That's a slap in the face, in my opinion, from Vince, as he has zero love for NXT and its product. But again, Triple H, Stephanie, and their regime are all about NXT, because regardless of who thinks what, that company down in Orlando, Florida, at Full Sail University, is going to be the future of sports entertainment in the next 10 to 20 years. With that, I am the show, Bill Schuyler. I will see you next week for a recap, review, news, and anything else that has to do with NXT. Again, that's going to be the first show from on the road, Columbus, Ohio. Let's see how the fans react when they're brought in from abroad and they're not local guys that have been down there loving FCW and NXT for years. These are people that would just become fans via the network. And let's just hope and pray, and I really do, that Samoa Joe signs that contract and becomes the major superstar that he deserves to be in NXT and the WWE. Once again, follow me, You Got the Show, on Twitter. Subscribe down below. Hit that like, comment. Anything you got to say, leave those comments down below. Hit me up on Twitter. I respond back to anybody that drops me a tweet. I get back to you. Again, the boss himself, Bill Apter, the guru, the wrestling icon himself at Apter1 Wrestling on Twitter. You follow him on the Apter Chat on YouTube. Andre Corbeil, who not only is part of the Can-Am wrestling show with Big Ray of Big Ray's show, Andre also does the Impact reviews each and every week. Big Ray does all kinds of reviews and all kinds of wrestling work. Just check him out on his Twitter channel. He'll get back with you, as well as Andre. Billy Ray, at Billy Ray Valentine, is Billy Ray Hustles for the Raw reviews. Old School is working its way back. We are coming. I know I say it every week, but hey, it's got to be perfect or it's not worth doing. Am I right? And that's what we want it to be. Absolutely perfect. And not just to be the same old thing that we were doing before. We want to up it and get it a little bit better. And you get the opportunity and you don't have time to watch YouTube, hit up the podcast, the PW Hustle, on iTunes and Podbean. Check us out. Me and Big Ray were just on this week's episode, along with the 8-Track Brown, along with Billy Ray. We had a great time discussing all kinds of pro wrestling, from generations past to now, future, down the road. It's a blast. They also play replays of the Can-Am show. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. And with that, I'll see you down the road, and I'll catch you at the matches.